This little video is to help you read the resistance of the electric motor on your relay lab project. Before we get started, just a little bit about the meters. We have 3 meters in front of me. 2 of these are for the car. It's these 2. This one is my personal one that I use myself. They both will read resistance, and what I'm looking for is common symbols on each meter. Now, each one of these can read resistance, and I can see that with an ohm symbol here and up here. On some of them, they may be combined with something else. So on this particular rig, it's telling me that a speaker will sound if I select that one. On this one, I can select between the ohms and the speaker. For my own personal meter, it's all the same. Ohms and capacitance for what we, or continuity, excuse me, are basically the same for what we're looking at today. All right, so I'm going to use my own meter on this one. So I'll take these out of the way, and we'll measure the resistance of this little electric motor. Before I get started, or before you get started, make sure that you do not have electricity running through the component. Now, this is obvious, but if you're going to try to do this on your own, make sure the power is shut off. Make sure the circuit is off. Maybe you pull the fuse plug, the fuse in the circuit, so you make sure it's dead. By far the safest thing to do is to pull the source of power, like the battery or my power supply if we're in the classroom. You don't want electricity running through these things. These meters can't read resistance if power is on, and if you have a cheap one or perhaps an older meter, you can blow the internal fuse and cause issues that way. So make sure the power is shut off, just like we have with our motor here. I'm going to select resistance, or the ohms symbol. It is showing me OL, or open line, and that's because my test leads are not touching. I like to put them together before I use it so that I can get a base value. Oh, that's better. All right, and there's a little bit of resistance through the circuit. No circuit is 100% at 0 ohms. That doesn't exist. So I'm just getting a baseline, and then all you do is red lead on one side, black lead on the other. And we're going to let it stabilize. These meters will feed power, a slight amount of power into the circuit, so it kind of knows what it's feeding in, and it's reading what's coming off the other side. And then it can do a little calculation to come up with what the resistance is. And at this point, it is showing around 10 ohms. It might read a little lower, it might read a little higher if I try this again. But 10 ohms is a good good number to run with. Maybe 9.9, 10, 9.8, somewhere in that range. And that is how you read resistance in a component or in a circuit. Again, remember, before you test anything, make sure there is no electricity running through that circuit or component.